Marathon might make the greatest endgame we've ever seen in an extraction looter shooter in our lives. Before we get into it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe for Marathon content all the way from here to September 23rd on release. Without further ado, let's hop into it. So first of all, let's talk about what we actually know about the game. Marathon is going to be a PvPvE extraction looter shooter with a very unique visual identity to it. Players take on the role as runners. From what we know, these are cyber-enhanced entities that can be persistent between matches if you stay alive. Bungie has already confirmed that runners don't just spawn in, loot, and die. Instead, they live and evolve based on your choices. They have teased some different things, including deep customization. We don't know much about that yet. We're going to have permanent progression elements in a world that responds to players' actions. They've mentioned different traders with missions and quests and in-game missions not related to traders at all. And some of these have multiple outcomes that we've never seen before. The bones of this game feel like a hybrid of Escape from Tarkov, Destiny 2. Obviously, each match is session-based, so you don't just drop in when everyone's spawning, which isn't a good idea since we've seen that in the past. But Bungie is attempting to blend all of these influences into one game and make a phenomenal outcome. So first things first, let's connect the dots and dive into what Marathon could potentially do in the endgame. And this is coming from a guy with over 3,000 hours in a sci-fi looter shooter called the Cycle Frontier. Yes, the game died, but listen, that's a good thing. I can help make this game not die. So one of the things that we could possibly see is like an ascension / bounty hunt system. This could be a way that as you progress through the game, your runner will likely level up in the process, but not just in a typical XP bar way. Think of it like a prestige pathway. When you reach a certain level, you can reset your gear, your loadouts, even your faction ties. But in exchange, you get permanent boosts, stat increases, access to new abilities, meta-defining unlocks. But obviously, there's a risk, because the more powerful you become, the more visible you might be. Imagine a runner that's so strong that the game marks you on everyone's map when you queue into a zone. You're literally a living, breathing bounty. They could do mission quests. For example, you have Warzone where you get a bounty quest. If you want a lot of PvP, pick up a bounty quest, make yourself survive the raid for a certain amount of time, and you get to escape with a lot of cash. Now, this is a pretty big twist that we could possibly see. Again, a lot of these are hypotheticals, but how would you think a bounty system would work in something like Marathon? Next is something that we've seen in Destiny 2, Destiny 1, and I believe this is going to be something that we will see, or something that I very much want to see in this game. This is something like a legendary endgame quest, an exotic endgame quest. If you play Destiny 1 or Destiny 2, you already know how Bungie approaches endgame content. Quests like Outbreak Perfected, The Whisper, Galahorn, they weren't just side missions, they weren't. They were multi-week investigations filled with secrets, puzzles, and player collaboration in the process. One phase might require a certain faction cooperation, another might only trigger during a seasonal world event, and imagine you actually finish these very long and legendary quests. Your runner unlocks an exclusive weapon blueprint or gear that transforms your appearance permanently and forever. Imagine a glowing spine, a cracked mask with glowing fragments, something that just shows off an aura that this runner has seen some really crazy things. Also, imagine a questline that brands your runner permanently as a Ghost Walker, a title that only 0.001% of players in the game have actually had. I'll relate this to something in Sea of Thieves with the Shrouded Ghost, which is the rarest shark of all time, and if you have that title card, you have the flexest flex of all time. Right here is where I do believe Bungie thrives. It's blending status, narrative, and mechanics, because they have such deep lore that's going to be implemented into this game that they can evolve the players with that lore as well. The next thing that I want to see in the endgame system, or just in the system itself, is player leveling, prestiging, and a Hall of Fame. Now, this comes for weapons and for the player itself. I'd love to see weapon levels or just certain camo unlocks or something different when you use weapons for a long time. Some type of reward. Marathon's core progression might revolve around more than just weapons and loot though. Every action you take, every match, every quest, every single extraction could feed into a long-term player level. We obviously know there's a player level in the game, but we don't know what that's attached to necessarily. Obviously, there will be faction levels as well, just like in every other looter shooter extraction genre. They have different factions. You level up the factions, you get different gear from those factions, you get different craftable unlocks, you can buy different items. But I want to see a much more in-depth system, because if you guys don't know, each season in Marathon is going to be 3 months long, so I want to see how they can do this. I don't know how they're going to go after this, but again, they should stick to one strategy and just go with it. Imagine though, at max level, players might be offered the option to prestige, just like in a game set like Call of Duty. This comes to a full reset of your loadout, so basically you're wiping yourself. In exchange for that, you get game-changing rewards. Maybe it unlocks a new runner form, or it gives you access to an elite extraction zone where loot is better. I personally would rather a map be locked to like key cards or certain rooms having key cards that you can find in the game generically. I don't like attaching stuff to prestiges. I really just want the prestige to be something you show, to be like, hey, I play this game a lot. And if you run into me and you see me in the game, you better run away because I will dominate the competition. These prestige players could somehow be immortalized on a leaderboard, tracked globally with seasonal resets. Bungie could even create monuments, digital statues and murals in the main hub that display the top 5 players of the season. Literally in-game shrines to keep the best runners alive. Now, the Psycho Frontier did something like this where they had an event where you had to kill the hardest boss in the game, and then you can get your name on like a top 10 leaderboard in the actual hub. Now, from what we know, Marathon doesn't have an actual hub. It's just a simple main menu. But again, if they add a hub, if they add a leaderboard action to the main title screen, we don't know. Let's just see what they do in the process. Another thing that we know is coming to the game are dynamic world events and map evolution. Now, this is already coming in terms of weather, like thunderstorms, rain, day-night cycles, stuff like that. But picture this for 1 second, where you have extreme weather systems that isn't just consistent of rain and thunder. Imagine you have molten lava, you have acid rain falling from the sky. You have to play the game differently and adapt to different scenarios. And imagine for one game, you have a firestorm, just fire rain falling from the sky. And this is when you have access to an elite boss at a certain location in the map. This is when you know everyone is running to that one area to get the chance at getting an elite reward from this boss. Stuff like this could make the endgame very, very fun, and you have to have stuff in the map that's ever changing, ever evolving, so every time you load in, you're like, hey, I have a chance to get this item, to get this situation, and I want to keep playing. Some of these events could even be totally unannounced. Imagine an AI virus spreads across the map mid-season randomly, turning friendly systems hostile. Rogue NPC factions might crash into a zone, alter all the extraction pathways, maybe a secret event that forces players to one side of the map for a certain amount of time. This is where Marathon could lean into MMO territory, and they let the players shape the game in real time. Now, one thing that I really want to see, and that an old game called the Psycho Frontier did, in my opinion, very well, is they had an endgame questline that opened access to a social hub. Now, this could be a very elite questline that only the best of the best players do, and once you do complete that questline, you get access to an area of just a main hub, and this is just a hangout spot. It's just a place to have basically a flex on all the competition. Maybe there could be some elite traders in there, we don't know. Now, one thing that I saw in Destiny was someone called Zur, and Zur would spawn in random areas of different worlds, and he would have great deals for people. I'd love to see a character like this in this game. I think it would make a huge difference in getting different consumables, different gear, and you have the option of like getting one legendary backpack for a really cheap price, or just one legendary weapon. Again, weapons are going to have durability, so I'm not really too worried about the market getting oversaturated, but again, we don't know how often these weapons are actually going to be durable for. We don't know. Now, one other thing I want to see in this game is lore-based unlockables and a very narrative endgame. Now, for Bungie, story isn't just cutscenes, it's woven into the actual gameplay. In Marathon, uncovering the truth might be one of the deepest endgame loops for the players. They could be tasked with gathering different fragments, completing audio logs, malfunctioning codes that they have to figure out that are scattered through the map. As you piece all these puzzles together, you might start to realize that your runner's purpose isn't what you thought it actually was. Certain quests might open hidden areas of the map, vaults sealed by ancient tech, memories from the past, and completing these could unlock cosmetic powers or choices that change future content drops for your entire server. Bungie could even do these different hunts that are limited time lore events through the whole entire community that they must work together and solve riddles or complete objectives to unlock the next phase of the story. Imagine like a huge raid going from map to map that's all about your team figuring out the puzzle, and as people solve it, like an Easter egg in Call of Duty, as people solve it, more people do the steps because they know the steps. Imagine something like this that's available for one weekend or 1 week. People can attempt to figure this out and get a nice reward for it. Another thing I do want to see in this game is in-game events just sporadically spawn. We've talked about storms and other things that can randomly spawn in your game, but we need to see some heavy-hitting items in the game. I want to see different versions of supply drops. I want to see different versions of stuff that attracts PvP to different locations. As long as we have some element of this in the game, I think we will be more than fine in that way. Because again, PvP is what drives these games. PvE is there to help. PvP drives this game. Now, one of the last things I do want to talk about, because this is going to heavily influence the endgame system, is mythic hunting or extremely rare endgame item. As we know, in extraction looter shooters, looting when you're completely done with the game is pointless. There is 0 point to looting when you're done with any extraction shooter. Tarkov, you finish all the quests, what are you looting for? You finished everything. Psycho Frontier, you finish all the quests, there's no point in looting. It's only PvP at that point. Now, that's why they have to try to change the genre for the better in that sense. Imagine loot that is so rare that only a dozen players across the entire globe have ever seen it drop. It's a mythical weapon blueprint locked behind a chain of near impossible events. Maybe it only has a 0.0001% drop rate during a specific extraction zone at dusk while a certain storm is happening. Again, like I talked about the fire event, it's got to be something extremely rare. Obviously, I want it to be a lot of different rare items that are so rare that you're like, how the hell did they find that? These mythically tiered items won't just be powerful, they would be legendary. Maybe they come with extremely unique game animations, glowing skins, or even stat lines that just bend the rule of the game. But more than that, they'd be social markers. I don't want them to be these weapons that are just mass destruction where if you have that gun, you're winning any gunfight. No, it should be a symbol that you grinded and you found this incredibly rare item. And hey, if they want to make it drop so other people can grab it, go for it. I think it'd be a great way to attract PvP to be like, hey, this guy has that weapon. Go, go. You know, that's sick. Lootables like this could even be time locked, seasonal, rotating world loot tables that change every month, forcing players to adapt, hunt, and speculate constantly. Finding hidden NPC vendors, all of it could feed into the rarest drops in the game. And just adding something as simple as this would make Marathon one of the best hitting extraction looter shooters out there because an endgame loop is so important in this genre. Comment down below what you thought about the content ideas and what you'd like to see in Marathon, because again, the more ideas the devs have, the better the game will be. So comment down below what you want to see in the game, no matter the cause. I will see you in the next one. All content Marathon until release. See you then. Deuce.